السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أسعد الله أوقاتكم بكل خير، وأهلا وسهلا فيكم مستمعينا ومشاهدينا عبر إذاعة UFM والبث المباشر عبر حساب الاتحاد السعودي للأمن السبراني والبرمجة والدرونز في تويتر. ورمضان مبارك علينا وعليكم، وكل عام وأنتم بخير. مرحبا بكم من جديد في الموسم الرابع من سايبر نايت، وهي سلسلة من الجلسات الحوارية التي يقيمها الاتحاد السعودي للأمن السبراني والبرمجة والدرونز في شهر رمضان. جيناكم بموسم مختلف يحتوي على مواضيع متنوعة وضيوف مميزين عالميين ومحليين في مجال الأمن السبراني. هذه السنة راح يكون عندنا مسابقة تتكون من عدة أسئلة، والأجوبة راح تكون من خلال حلقات سايبر نايت. جهزوا ورقة وقلم وركزوا معنا على أهم النقاط في جميع الحلقات للحصول على جوائز تصل قيمتها إلى 30,000 ريال سعودي. ستكون الجلسة اليوم باللغة الإنجليزية، وسيحدثنا ضيفنا جستن مونتوبانو عن حماية أنظمة السيارات واختراقها، وعن أهمية مجتمعات الأمن السبراني في مشاركة المعرفة وتطويرها. ضيفنا جستن خبير في مجال الأمن السبراني واختبار الاختراق وحماية أنظمة السيارات. Hi Justin, we're glad to have you in Cyber Night.
Hello, definitely happy to be here as well at Cyber Night. I'm Justin Mونتوبانو. Pleasure to be here. I run the car hacking village right now, and I've been working in the security industry from product security to information security for the better part of the last 15 years.
So Justin, can you tell us more about yourself and how did you get in the cybersecurity field?
Yeah, most definitely. So always, since a really young age, I've been interested in how computers and electronics work. I've always kind of taken things apart as a kid. Not saying I could always put them back together, but I was always curious on how things worked. So from there, I eventually started building websites and doing some web design stuff, but I was really curious in understanding like how does all this stuff get actually put on the web for me to look at. So from there, I went into school for network security and understanding the network aspect of how communications work. And started my first job in the automotive industry on the information security side, helping lock down their infrastructure and making sure that no data is being leaked out of the company. And then from there, I slowly migrated into the product side of security and working with engineering teams and software development and stuff like that. I've always been really interested in cyber physical systems. So anything that has a physical impact to it that is connected to the internet or has electronics in it, I've always been really interested in that. So I try to work in those fields or those areas.
Interesting. So Justin, in the cybersecurity career, did the cybersecurity community play a role in your growth?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm really glad you asked this question because this is a great question that I feel a lot of people should understand more about the community. So when I first started in security and tinkering and playing around with things, I had no clue that there was a community. I didn't know of DEF CON, I didn't know of GERCON or B-Sides or Black Hat or any of these events. None of them were on my radar. And the first event that I really attended that I started to see the value in was an event called GERCON in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And from there, I quickly learned that the biggest benefit of these conferences and events is networking and meeting people. And from there, I quickly became involved with the communities and helping provide like capture the flag events or environments for people to hack on. And that just kind of grew to meet more people in the community, which ultimately leads to more opportunities and jobs.
That's nice. So can you tell us more about the car hacking history and when did it start and how companies are taking it seriously?
Yeah, most definitely. So a lot of the security research or hacking in cars started in like the 2010 timeframe. There was a couple of universities that were doing research to understand, can cars be hacked? What's the impact on it? But that was all research, so it wasn't really in the public's eyes. I mean, they did publish their findings, but when things really turned was in 2015 with the Jeep hack. So for those that are not familiar, there was a team of researchers that were able to remotely disable and remove or take a Jeep off the expressway. That really brought a lot of attention to the community and to the companies. And being in the industry at that time, I seen a lot of that attention being swayed to security, which was really nice because prior to that, I don't really think the automotive industry was thinking of security or even had it on their radar. So unfortunately, an event like that had to kind of get the companies in line. But I would say nowadays, they're definitely taking things more seriously, are thinking of things like pen tests, secure coding, secure lifecycle, things like that is definitely on their radar now.
So, Justin, did you get interested in the car hacking before or after you get involved with the community and DEF CON groups?
I would say it was before. I had been in the automotive industry prior to getting involved with a lot of these communities, but it was more, like I was saying earlier, on the traditional information security side of things. So locking down infrastructure and ensuring data isn't leaking. The community just really allowed me to give my time and help others get involved. So that's really the biggest thing that I've been using the communities for, is to kind of train and bring more people into the community. So I would say, no, I wasn't car hacking prior to it. The communities really just kind of helped me express myself and get out more to teach and get involved and help others get involved as well.
Interesting. So can you tell us more about the car hacking village?
Yeah, definitely. So the car hacking village is a function of DEF CON that has been running since, I think it's been 2015, since the car hacking village started. And the whole premise of it is to help people understand the aspects of car hacking and how to get into car hacking. So throughout the village, we'll have different activities going on. The biggest one that we have is our Capture the Flag event. And in that event, essentially, we have a couple different, challenges, I guess you could say, that allows people to find flags throughout automotive components. We've also been doing some semi-truck stuff as well. And whoever gets the most points wins a prize on that. We also do things which we've been experimenting with, which is like a tinker area. So we just allow people to come in and play around with a vehicle or components of a vehicle. So if you're really interested in getting into car hacking and you may not have the money to buy a car or the components in a car, we provide that for free. Well, I mean, you'd have to pay for the conference, but we provide that for people to learn on. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So Justin, we all know that all systems are not 100% secure. How could be vulnerable? Is this also applicable for the car and vehicles, and how?
Yes, I would say you're absolutely correct. Not 100% of systems are secure, and there's no such thing as 100% security. And the best way I can go at this question is I view pretty much all technologies to be very similar. So whenever I'm talking about technologies, whether it's automotive or IoT or aerospace or whatever it may be, I always focus on the OSI model. So the stack that goes from physical all the way to application and how applications are functioning. If you understand the different aspects of the OSI model, then you should be able to essentially attack or understand the technologies in any different kind of application. So I don't ever think there'll be such thing as 100% security. There's always going to be some opening or something that somebody forgot about that's going to lead to a vulnerability and an exploit. So yeah, I would say there is no such thing as 100% security, and we just need to keep training the industry to get better on how to secure embedded systems.
So, Justin, are all cars secure in the same way, or we can say that some practices in IT security applied on vehicles security, like penetration testing, digital forensics, and etc.?
Yeah, so I would say they are the same. I think the biggest difference is the mindset. So a lot of the mindset in the automotive industry hasn't been very privy of security and focusing on security for as long as, say, like IT security systems have. But a lot of the policies and practices that you would follow in IT security will also apply in vehicle security or product security. So different policies that you might have set, there would be similar policies, but it's going to be more geared towards the actual product than people. But I would say when it comes to security, all practices are the same and are very similar.
Mm-hmm. So nowadays we have hybrid and electric cars. In security design, who's more secured, in your opinion?
This is actually a hard question to ask. Around who's more secure. The reason I say that is because everybody implements security differently, and everybody uses different types of technologies within their components. So it really comes down to like which security or which companies in the security or the automotive space are actually concerned about security and are actually putting funding towards security. That's kind of hard to understand from the public view if you're looking at like which car or which brand of cars I should buy that would be the most secure. That's really hard to actually answer and put down because, today I could tell you a Honda Civic is secure, and then tomorrow a new vulnerability is leaked or comes out about how you can, remote start it or unlock it or something like that. So the security would shift overnight. So it's really hard to say, which is more secure. And even going down to like internal combustion engines, hybrid and electric vehicles, trying to determine which one's more secure is really difficult because they're using the same components and same technologies, and they're still connecting to the back end in the same fashions they are with traditional automobiles. So yeah, it really comes down to which companies are taking the security seriously and actually hiring and bringing in the staff to design security, look out for things that might be leaking on the internet around their code and things like that. So yeah, that's a hard question.
So you mentioned the electric vehicles. Can you give us an overview of the cybersecurity challenges that facing the electric vehicles today?
So I would say they're the same challenges that are in combustion engines. The thing that a lot of people may not understand nowadays, in most modern vehicles with a traditional engine in it, there are upwards to 70 different computers in that vehicle. Electric vehicles are no difference. The only thing that's different is they don't have like a combustion engine and a lot of moving parts on that aspect. But most engine controllers or most engines in traditional vehicles, there's an electronic component to that engine that if you can hack that specific component, which is electronic, then you can essentially hack the engine and change, how much fuel and things like that might be going into the engine. So it's, in my eyes, like I said, it goes back to kind of which companies are taking this seriously. It doesn't matter whether it's hybrid, electric, or internal combustion from my perspective.
Interesting. So, Justin, can you tell us more about the DEF CON and the DEF CON community, villages, goons, and etc.?
Yeah, definitely. So at DEF CON, the biggest thing I enjoy about DEF CON is it's, from my perspective, where a lot of the hackers and tinkerers hang out. So it's a good place if you're interested in playing with different technologies, anything from, automobiles to IoT devices to voting machines. They're all accessible at DEF CON and they allow people to hack on them and learn from them. So I think that's one of the biggest benefits at DEF CON compared to some of the other events. Mm-hmm. And then digging into like the goon side and the way things are laid out within the actual event. They do have goons that walk around that are essentially DEF CON security. So they're there to ensure that things don't get out of hand and people aren't doing things malicious to one another. They can be a little rough at times if you're being rude to them. So yeah, that's kind of my aspect and thoughts on DEF CON. It's a great place to start getting involved. I know it's maybe hard for some because it's in Las Vegas, but if you're able to make it out there, I highly recommend it because there's experts everywhere that are willing to teach you whatever you're interested in.
Interesting. So, Justin, in talk of DEF CON, I remember I saw you in Black Hat that was held on Riyadh last November. So can you tell us more about your experience?
Yeah, definitely. So the Black Hat event that we did in Riyadh last year, that was, I'm not too sure how many different events like that I've ran, but it's was a little bit smaller than we're used to with like DEF CON, where we have a massive staff that's helping us. So at DEF CON, we usually have about 40 people on staff that's helping support the village. But the Black Hat event that we did this year was a little bit smaller in regards to what we offered. But out there we had a vehicle that people could tinker on and play with. The vehicle we had was a Honda Civic, which recently had a CVE come out for it, which allowed for anybody with a SDR or software-defined radio to essentially clone the keys from a specific vehicle and replay it on that vehicle. The nice thing about that attack is you don't have to keep recording the key fob every time you want to unlock it, like some key fobs that have rolling codes. You can essentially just record the key fob signal, save it on whatever device you have, and replay it to that device, and it'll unlock it. You could also do things like remote start on that vehicle. So we were doing demos around that to help people understand that type of security. And then we also had a few different sections. One, we focused on the wireless aspects of cars. So how do you go after, everything from key fobs to TPMS to GPS? And then we also had sections on Bluetooth hacking. So, how do you get into Bluetooth hacking? What aspects are there of hacking Bluetooth? And we also had a small virtual cloud car section where we allowed people to hack a car that is in the cloud. So that was a lot of what we were providing out there.
So Justin, you have been involved in the international cybersecurity community and DEF CON in the US, and also you have come to Black Hat Me and Riyadh. Can you compare between these two communities?
Yeah, definitely. I would say they're very similar. The biggest thing I noticed, I would say outside of the United States, and this is going to sound interesting, is there's definitely a lot more females in the industry outside of the United States. That was pretty eye-opening to me, and I think it's great. I think the more people we can bring into the community, the better. And I also felt there's a large eagerness outside of the United States to want to kind of be like or understand what a lot of the security researchers are doing within the United States. And I think it's beautiful to see, because it's showing that people are striving for knowledge and people are wanting to learn and grow themselves in this community and also build their own communities. That's a big thing I see when I was out in Riyadh, was all the different groups and communities that are being built out there around security and the different aspects of security, everything from like forensics to pen testing. It's really cool to see these communities grow and come up with new ideas or build new events or new challenges and stuff like that.
True. So, Justin, I heard that you have been involved in a new area of cybersecurity, which is the aerospace. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, most definitely. So like I mentioned earlier, I love cyber physical systems and being involved with the cyber physical security of systems. Mm-hmm. And I had been in the automotive industry for about 10 years, and I just kind of felt I needed to shift a little bit and try a different industry. From a technology standpoint, I view aerospace and airplanes to be very similar to automotive components. So there's going to be small, not ECUs, but similar to ECUs throughout the airplane that are running on embedded controllers that are designed for one specific application. I think the biggest difference between the two industries is regulations and law. So when it comes to the aerospace side, since they're big airplanes that are flying very, very fast, the FAA and other legal entities are a lot more involved with the security aspects of how things are locked down and what you're allowed to do with, design aspects. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel the automotive industry is a little bit behind and things are kind of more open in that regard. But I think it's the aspect of the risk that for those systems.
That's interesting. So, Justin, what advice do you have for individuals that interested in pursue their career in cybersecurity and car hacking also?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I usually leave it with three separate things. The first thing is go out and get involved, be a part of the different communities that are out there, like DEF CON, GERCON, Black Hat, B-Sides, ThoughtCon, NOLACon, just throwing some different names out there if you guys want to research them. That's like the biggest one, is getting involved. The next biggest thing I'd say is don't be afraid to ask questions. The worst question or the worst answer is going to be no. So, ask questions and get involved. And then the last thing is follow your passion, follow what you love and what you enjoy doing. Because ultimately at the end of the day, your job isn't going to be a job, and it's going to be fun and enjoyable.
Sure.
So those are really the biggest things I always try to tell people. And how do you get involved with security or any community at that is get involved with the community, ask as many questions as you can, and just keep following the passions and interests that drive you. And I feel like you'll be able to succeed very well.
Thank you, Justin. We are glad to have you today and one of the Cyber Nights episode.
Yes, very happy to be here. I looked it up a little bit beforehand, and I love what you guys are doing. Kind of goes to what I was talking about earlier about this community expanding and growing. So I'm very pleased to be here and happy to provide the information and time.
Thank you. ومثل ما ذكر جستن، الدخول في مجتمعات الأمن السيبراني هو أحد مفاتيح النجاح والاستمرار في هذا المجال. شكرا جزيلا لكم متابعينا عبر إذاعة UFM والبث المباشر على حساب الاتحاد السعودي للأمن السيبراني والبرمجة والدرونز على حضور ومتابعة هذه الحلقة. ولا تنسون تشاركونا أهم النقاط في هاشتاج سايبر نايت 4. كانت معكم نجلاء الخاطر.